Greetings, fellow maker. I'm Britt.
And you've got Bill today.
And I am starting a new costume. It's so exciting. The character I'm going to be making is from Baldur's Gate 3. I've been playing that game a lot.
She has.
And it's super fun. And one character in particular was my buddy throughout the whole game. She was my go-to, and I want to cosplay her. And it is Karlach. Such a wonderful, lovable character. She's awesome. She's a barbarian.
She's so cool.
She's cool.
Really cool.
She's gotten me to start weightlifting. So yeah, I'm going to be building that costume for Dragon Con this year, which is at the end of August, beginning of September. And right now it is about the end of February. And my normal go-to is to put off my costume until like maybe beginning of August, maybe July if I'm lucky. And this year, no more. I'm starting my costume now.
Doing it early.
Yeah.
I'll save mine for August.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have to have something last minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's the kind of costume that I want to do Karlach justice. I want it to be easy to wear, comfortable as possible. And I thought I would start planning now. And to plan that, I've been using our Cosplay Handbook. So great, so handy. This is actually the first full project I've used a handbook for, so I've been learning a lot about the process, about how your mind works during it.
This was designed by Paige, who doesn't work for us anymore, but she is still very active. She's got a cool leather crafting thing going on. We'll link to her stuff down below if you want to see some neat leather crafting patterns and designs. But she designed this book when she worked for us. And it's supposed to be the sort of thing that you would use when you're getting ready to do your costume, to build it and to log everything you've done while you're building it. And
something to keep too. Mm-hmm. Like you put your name on it, you date it, you print it out. It's a digital PDF. And there's a full page version you can print or this kind of folded one. Normally I use a stapler to put these together, but our stapler is very sad and couldn't handle this paper. So I did a saddle stitch. Mm-hmm. And link the video down below where I learned how to do the saddle stitching for a thin book like this. But you just poke some holes in it with something sharp like an awl, and then you run some thread through each side and then kind of tie it all together. And it worked well. It's not the prettiest thing, but I'm gonna get it beat up anyway. But I wanted to take you and Bill through what I've got so far.
We have a computer set up here with the game. Britt's got the character model loaded up with the default outfit, which is what you're gonna be making.
Yeah, that's the one I like the best. She does get a lot of cool armor choices, especially when you change your class, but the starting armor, it's pretty complicated and cool, and it really shows off her awesome features.
Yeah, and it's really iconic.
Yeah.
So you've been gathering those reference images and coming up with ideas, and there's gonna be a handful of different types of builds in this whole thing. She obviously has red skin, you do not.
Yes.
She's got horns, she's got very different hair.
She has a tail.
She's got pointy ears.
Yes.
So these are all probably going to be different videos we have coming out in the next few months as Britt makes progress on that. But today we're going to go through the planning and start to figure out how we're going to build all of these separate elements for this costume. So join us, won't you?
So like I was saying earlier, this is a book that you're supposed to keep with you with your costume. And so if you look on the first page, this is something I haven't filled out yet because it's my packing list. This is when I'm completely done with the costume. This is the page I'll refer to when I'm packing for a convention.
Mm-hmm. Including like a repair kit. If there's any specific things you need to repair that costume.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I haven't filled out my master list yet because I don't know everything. Mm-hmm. But I've started ordering some supplies and materials.
Yeah, and that's what we're figuring out today.
Yeah, and this is a super handy page if you're just getting into cosplay. It helps you figure out what your goals are. And the generic goal, first goal that Paige put in there is don't put it off till the last minute, don't rush. And I kind of noodled on my goal for a little bit, number one. It's a little wordy. But basically what I'm getting down to is I want to hold myself accountable to get parts of my costume done. And if you skip to page 30, yeah, so every time I sit down to work on my project for an extended amount of time, I want to actually track it. And I think that will help me, you know, like keep a more structured production of it.
And you can set milestones for yourself too.
That's true. I should really do that.
And we have some obvious things like the ears are going to be a whole thing and probably a separate project video, so we can try and get those done by a certain day. The tail, the costume, so on. You can set those goals for yourself down the line so that you're not just saying, I need the whole costume done by August.
Yeah.
That's just too vague.
Yeah, it's too vague. And there are some things you have to get done before other things. Like the makeup I want to do last after I've done all the other red parts of the costume and then match the makeup to everything else I made instead of the other way around.
Up next, there's just some nice information on to help with planning and designing. And then there's some areas to start doing some drawing.
Yeah, Paige drew these kind of generic paper doll forms that you can sketch on top of. So for this process, I loaded up the video game, and on the character select screen, there's a version of Karlach that you can actually play the whole game as her instead of a side character. You can do that with any character in the game.
You can play Karlach as the main character?
Yeah, it's cool. Pretty cool. But it's really helpful for a costume referencing, because I don't even have to go to my save file. I can just load up the game anywhere, and right on the start screen is a model of her that I can just rotate around and reference.
Take screenshots.
Exactly.
You can zoom in, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, she's so cool. Look how cool she is.
Yep. Boy, it looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's pretty intimidating before you break down the different elements.
She's got a glowing thing in her chest. We definitely want to do the glowing effect.
So you can see here, I've started thinking about the different elements, and I'm not being super specific with my sketching because I do have the 3D model already to reference. So if I was designing an original character, I would put, the only design that I have in this book. And that would be where I'd pull my references from. Yeah, so this page I was thinking about the ears, and I put down here for the horns a YouTube reminder to go check out Kamui Cosplay's horn tutorial. Because there's two different ways I think I'm going to be making the horns. I haven't decided which. And one of them is to make a pattern, make it out of foam. And that's the one I'm most familiar with. It's going to be the most lightweight, the most durable for a convention. I poked someone with my costume before, right in their ear. It was like I had an arrow sticking out of my shoulder, like the fletching end of it, and it poked him right in the ear, and I felt so bad. And it's like, I don't want to poke someone with my ears. I want him to
big old horn sticking out.
I know it's going to be out there, and it's going to do some damage. But if I 3D print it, there are soft versions that people are trying out now. So Willow Creative was one of the ones I wrote down in there that I want to check out her progress, because she's been doing Lilith horns 3D printed in TPU, but it's foamed TPU. And it is a soft way to make horns.
Yeah, they're lightweight, flexible.
And of course, since Baldur's Gate 3 is so popular, there's a bunch of creators out there who have already made really good assets for the game. And someone has 3D modeled Karlach's horns already. So I could get the model for the horns, print it on that foamed TPU, and have softer horns. Or I could do the same thing out of foam and make them from scratch.
You can also print it, mold it, cast it in foam.
That's a good point.
There's so many options out there.
Yeah, there's self-skinning Nerf foam that you can do your castings in. We've done that with a Nuka-Cola bottle before.
But we're probably going to start with foam smithing it.
I think the way I want to do it is foam smithing. I don't want to have to rely on the 3D printing, but it's cool that option exists.
And if the foam smithing goes sideways, we have a backup plan.
Yeah, and for the ears, I've never made elf ears or anything before, so there's a couple different ways you can do it. I might do it the traditional way where you block off your ear canal, then make an alginate mold around your ear, cast that in plaster, then you can sculpt onto the plaster cast, and then mold whatever version of the ear, after that. I would have to do both sides, or I could go the 3D way. I could scan my ear, 3D scan my
your ear.
Yeah, I'm curious about that process.
And then have a 3D print of your ear. And then we could, again, sculpt on it.
Yeah.
Either physically, we could sculpt the ears, or we could do it digitally as well if we have the 3D sculpt.
Yeah, I guess the one pitfall with 3D scanning is you want to make sure you keep the scale. So you measure your ear and make sure in 3D space it's the same size. But yeah, again, two options. Not quite sure which way I'm going to go yet.
Right, either one would work. It really just depends on which way we literally have everything we need to 3D print and scan it right now, so we could go that route. But if we want to go, we might have some alginate.
Yeah, I think we have some kicking around.
If we want to mold and cast, we may have to go get some different supply. So that's all a consideration.
Yeah, and what do I cast them out of? Do I do silicone? I know some people use latex. Could I do a seam around my ears where you can't see the ear seam? It's so many questions.
Yeah.
And also I think on that page, I started thinking about the wig. Her hair is pretty complicated. One side is shaved pretty short, and I'm a little worried about how to do a wig for that. So I've started writing down some references for wigs. I think it was Cowbutt Crunchies has so many good wig tutorials. They have a book. They were on Tested recently talking about how they stylize their wigs.
Extreme wigs.
Right. And I've seen some other people do some like colored skull caps and cut the hair really short on it. I might just do my hair a little longer for my wig so I don't have to worry about it because her skin is red. So you'd have to make a custom cap setup. But I'll be doing some research on that.
Those are very pointy ears.
Yeah, they're very very long. And she has some braids in her hair and whatnot. So there's a whole wig thing. And then the makeup will be on top of all that. On this page here, I was starting to think about the bodysuit. In the past, when I've had to be a character of unusual skin tone, like blue, I was Mystique from the X-Men. And I had a blue bodysuit on that was cut off at the neck. And then I did blue face paint for my neck and face. And that way I didn't have to paint my hands or my arms, and it was much faster to apply. So I think I'm going to do that with Karlach too. I think it's mostly going to be a bodysuit. I was toying with the idea of the seam being around the neck. It's going to be pretty obvious though, so I would want to have like a necklace.
The seam around the neck is super useful because you've got the glowing chest under there, so that's going to have to be a separate prosthetic of some kind.
Maybe. By the way, I didn't mention this. Karlach has an infernal heart, so it's a mechanical fiery heart that is what is powering her, and her chest lights up, and I want that effect.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things to think about with this. One thing I did purchase was some potential fabric for the bodysuit. It's hard to find a red that's not like super red, and I wanted it to be stretchy, to be like bodysuit, so it's a 4-way stretch. It's a cheap fabric I got online at Joann Fabrics, and I was curious if I could shine light straight through the fabric, and it seems to work pretty well. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but if I had some LEDs pressed right up against there, like chip-on-board LEDs, the ones that are really close to each other, might look good. I have some I could test. They're blue, but I could test with it. But I picked up this fabric to start making the bodysuit, and hopefully that will work out. I got Yaya Han's bodysuit pattern a while ago, so I'm going to look at that and see if it would make sense to make the whole bodysuit out of that. And then this is fake leather. It's a really thin material. It's a 2-way stretch.
Ooh. This is Yaya stuff?
Yeah, it's part of her cosplay fabric line. It's good for, I think it'll be good for the pants that she has. They're pretty tight fitting, and they look pretty thin. And I think for the top, I want to try and use the same fabric, but back it with something like nylon webbing or foam for the strips, and just have this fabric on top and paint it a little bit. But I don't think it's going to need too much.
Yeah, it looks like it's almost got a black or dark color to it, but the edges are faded and brown. On the leather. Yeah,
it's weird too. I'm gonna have to double check some stuff because in game it looks like it's a different color, but some of the screenshots I've looked at are from before launch, and I think her outfit was slightly different colored. She has some straps on her wrists and her boots here, and I've seen those as red before, like a really dark red, and these do not look like that at all, so I have to figure out what's canon and what's not. And of course, I'm the only person who's going to notice. But it's fun to try and match this kind of stuff. Yeah, you can see here is where I'm thinking about the pants, and they have these little slits in them where her skin shows through, but instead of painting my skin or having a full bodysuit underneath, I think I'm just gonna have bits of red fabric sewn onto my pants.
And that could all be a pair of pants.
Exactly, yeah, cut it off right at the waist, so that there's no full bodysuit. In the past, it's been very handy to make a costume where you can use the bathroom by yourself and just take off part of your costume. So having pants separate,
I've been in the opposite situation where you have to use the bathroom and you're wearing a full bodysuit and none of your friends around, so you have to make friends with whoever's near the bathroom.
And ironically, usually if I have a costume where I can use a bathroom by myself, I won't have to. You know, like when you're in costume, you start sweating and you're like, I haven't peed in 4 hours and I don't have to. Where did it all go? It's like it went into your costume. You sweat it out. For the top, I think, oh yeah, here's where I'm talking about the gloves and stuff. These are these beautiful drawings.
We went to art school.
I've seen Svetlana sew her own gloves before, so I think I want to try and do that out of same fabric. And I've also seen people glue on fake nails onto their gloves. And when you glance at it, it looks perfectly normal. So we'll see how that goes. She does have long, pointy fingernails.
And we'll probably do a bunch of airbrushing on the bodysuit as well.
Yeah, I want to do a lot of custom coloring. I think this is kind of like the in-between color, but parts of it need to be lighter and parts of it need to be darker. She has a bunch of scarring on one side where her horn is broken off. And she has a bunch of accessories that were put in probably when she got her infernal heart. So yeah, a lot of details to paint in, probably fabric paints, airbrushing. I think we have some fabric markers. I can draw in some of the scarring.
We have a mannequin too. It's not exactly your proportions, but once the bodysuit's done, we can put it on the mannequin for the airbrushing. When we did our Draugr suits, I just put the bodysuit on my twin brother and airbrushed it. That was a good time.
That was pretty great.
If you don't have a body mannequin, get a twin brother.
Yeah.
They're great.
And so for the bodysuit on the top, so again, gloves. But those gloves are going to be, I think, attached to the bracers. So it's going to be like the whole bracers, this glove I put on, and it would keep it in place. One thing you want to be careful about that is the rest of your bodysuit. What I've noticed is if I have sleeves and I put on a gauntlet, it'll push the sleeves down. So usually what I do is, did I do it in this drawing? Her bracers, I think at least one of them, one of them has, here you can see there's a strap there. But for the actual bodysuit, it's going to be under the gloves. So I think what I want, and I've done this before, is I take the cuff and I loop it up around my hand in some way. So either the fabric comes up or I have an elastic bit, and that keeps your sleeve pulled down. So I'll have the bodysuit with just a loop here and no hand. And then I'll have the hand that's a part of the bracer. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's like a fake hand bodysuit thing, but the bodysuit's really separate. And it's the same thing for your waist too. Like, I don't know if my bodysuit's going to want to stay tugged down with the armor on top of it. If it wants to rise up, that's when you attach it like you would like a bathing suit or something. Like
put some Velcro in there so you can stick it to your waistband or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You want to stop it from riding up. So all these things are bouncing around in my head, and I write them all down in my book. And there are pages to kind of help you with different accessories. She has an axe that she starts with, being a cool barbarian. And I do like the starter axe. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it looks like it could come apart in different areas. I love it when weapons have seams already built in, so I could separate it there and then, you know, at the head there.
This will probably be saved for last, I imagine, the axe.
That's a good point. Yeah. I should save it for last.
So if we have time later, we might do a different, more complicated one.
That's true. The weapon is optional. It is not necessary to be recognized as Karlach.
Yeah, because Karlach without an axe still looks like Karlach, but if she doesn't have a tail, it's no good. And
in the armor, you can see there's tons of these little repeating metal pieces.
These rings with little shark teeth on them.
Yeah, it looks like there's two sizes, and then the one around her waist is different a little bit there. And it would be kind of fun to actually make those out of metal.
Sure, yeah, we have the technology.
Yeah, that might be the strongest way to hold it together because it's going to be structural. Man, just going through this is making me tired.
It's going to be it's a good thing we have a few months.
Yeah. And you can see here for the chest, those are the parts that are supposed to light up. So underneath her rib cage is what's glowing, and it shows up through her skin. And I would love to get that effect.
Yeah.
I have seen a couple Karlach cosplayers already just make amazing costumes. One of them was right on launch day. I think she was at PAX East. She had the cool glowy chest. And so I want to go look up how she did it and just see how other people are doing it. Because it's going to get sweaty, whatever I put in there. And I want to make sure the electronics are okay. And that it survives the con. One of the things you get in the game is soul coins, and Karlach, I guess, puts them into herself like a piggy bank, like into her infernal heart, and it powers her up for the day. It gives her a really cool buff, like lights her on fire. But there's a limited amount of them, so they're very precious. And of course, I've been thinking about making those to have as an accessory costume. Something I could potentially give out to people who
that would be a really good thing to give out.
Yeah, to the people who get it, who would appreciate it. Be like, oh my gosh, it's a soul coin.
Yeah, and we could cast a bunch of them.
This is just a little note that one of the things that's neat about Dragon Con is the convention never really shuts down. So you can have a different evening version of your costume compared to the one you wear during the day. Something that's lighter weight, simpler. So we were thinking about having Karlach in her like pajamas. Because in her camp she has a teddy bear And it's like her carrying her teddy bear in pajamas might be cute. And also might be too warm. So I'm considering that too.
Yeah.
On this page, I was starting to list out the different videos I was thinking of doing. Oh, when we haven't even talked about the tail. If you flip back, there's this awesome maker. I'll link to them down below. Arborealkey. So she makes these awesome tails, and then the way she makes it look so easy. So easy. I've never made a tail before, but I'm going to do her process, and hopefully ends up as cool. And really, the only thing I have to keep in mind for the tail and the axe is that they have to fit in our luggage.
Right.
They're the only two big things. Everything else should break down pretty small. Even her horn isn't that big. It's just the axe and the tail. So as long as the tail can curl up like sideways into like a little spiral or something, we should be able to fit it in our luggage. That's everything so far in the Cosplay Handbook here. There's a place to budget all of your materials and potentially tools you have to buy. Yeah, you can see I've started purchasing some stuff. They just came in. And I'm going to have to scrounge around because I think we have some of the materials already for the rivets and buckles and things. And then we're back to this part here where you track your progress, how much work you put in, what you worked on. This is stuff that you'll be really happy to have years from now when you're sort of revisiting this project. And then there's also a spot in here to review the entire build once you're done with it. Stuff you learned, things you want to do again, things you don't want to do again, that sort of stuff. But also you can write down things like you took it to the convention, what broke, what would you want to do differently. Yeah, it isn't until you actually step foot on the convention floor that you realize what's going to survive. So yeah, these things become like the chronicle of that costume, not just once you're done building the costume, but once you wear it time and time again, you can keep up with everything that happens to that. And then this notebook can live with the costume. And trust me, like I said, years from now, you're going to be so glad you had that. And again, this is a digital download over on our website. You can buy it, download it, print out as many as you want for every single costume if this is your jam. Especially if you're designing an original character, it's just so handy to be able to lay out all the parts and have it not be stuck in your brain, because that's where the progress stops, is when you have too many steps and they're not written down, and this is a great organized way to keep it all. So I am excited. Yeah, and you're prepared. And I'm now held accountable because I told everyone what I want to do. Gotta finish it. I gotta finish it. I'm gonna do a Baldur's Gate costume. Not telling you what yet. Not committing like you are. But I'm planning to do one for Dragon Con as well. But I have another big project that I want to do. Again, I'll let you know when it gets started, but once it's out there, I feel committed to finishing it. Yeah, this other project is not Baldur's Gate related, but I'm excited for it. You'll hear about that soon. I'm curious if any of you have an idea for a costume for build that's from Baldur's Gate. Oh, sure, yeah. Post all sorts of ideas in the comments. Who do you think I should dress as? I mean, obviously Asterion. Look at me. Look at this face. You're just... No. Pick, who do you think I should cosplay as from Baldur's Gate 3? For me, I think he should be either an owl bear or the Wheel of Cheese. I don't know if he's keen on either of those, so if you have any better thoughts. I don't think I'm going to fit in the Wheel of Cheese. Well, it'd be like a radio-controlled prop. Yeah, that would be fun. You'd wheel the cheese around. Yeah. Well, I think that's about it. I get started. I don't know which video is going to be first. Maybe the horns. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you updated. So over the next couple of months, every once in a while, you'll see a Karlach build sprinkled in with the rest of our videos. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I hope this was fun and interesting for you. Inspirational. Yeah, I don't think we've ever done like a pre-build deep dive. Yeah. So let us know what you think. Is this helpful? And will you be at Dragon Con? Let us know. Let us know what you plan on bringing. If you're bringing a Baldur's Gate 3 costume, let us know. Yep. I'm sure there'll be a meetup. They do photo shoot meetups, and I would love to go and meet all the other Karlachs. That would be great. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching. And a special thanks goes out to the members of our Extra Credit Club, the beautiful human beings who keep us employed, keep the lights on around here. Couldn't do it without you. There's a link down to our Patreon, and of course memberships right here on YouTube if you want to help us out. We appreciate that, and we're excited. So excited for Dragon Con, even though it's like 5 or 6 months away. That'll wrap it up from our shop today. I hope you're having fun in your shop. We'll see you in the next build. Bye!